Welcome everybody to the May 26th webinar on capturing leads before they walk away. So what we're going to talk about today is the fact of the matter that a lot of business websites, organizational websites have visitors, but when it comes down to it, once they finish your website, they don't always take action. So we're going to talk about that problem, and we're going to give you some practical tips to improve on that. So few housekeeping rules here. Please mute your microphone if you're not speaking. We encourage you to put your camera on, but it's again optional. We'll have some Q&A at the end of the session. Now, there's also a chat window that you can use during the presentation as well if you have any questions that come up. Today with me, I have Katie from our team, and she will be moderating the discussion on the chat. Welcome, Katie.
Hello.
And so then also the recording will be available as well, including the slides. So that's a little bit what we're going to do here in the next 30 minutes or so. And we're going to talk, this is the agenda for today. So we're going to talk about a big problem that we see a lot of our clients have. They may have some traffic to the website, but they don't always have the resulting new business or new inquiries that they were hoping for. And yeah, we'll talk about the problem a bit more detail and especially how we can kind of solve that. We're going to talk about primary versus secondary call to actions. This is a little bit marketing speak, I guess, but call to action is something that you ask your visitors to do, and there's the right way of doing that, and then there's also the wrong way of getting those on your website. So we'll talk about what the best practices are. Then we're going to talk about lead magnets. So that's any information or resource that you can provide to your visitors that doesn't force them to, make an appointment or buy your product, but actually they can find out more about you and you can build trust with these visitors. So they hopefully you can build a relationship with them that eventually, hopefully, turns into a sale. Then we're going to talk about, like, once we have that list and the names, what do we do with that list, right? And that's another area in a lot of businesses that's overlooked often. So how can you do that without, being annoying? And then at the end, we'll introduce, I will talk briefly about Easy Leads, which is like a marketing automation tool that we offer here at Edge, and that will make some of these things actually put it on autopilot. So that's in a nutshell what we're going to talk about, and then at the end we'll have a Q&A. So the big problem, if you have a website, probably people find it. Hopefully people find it. A lot of the work we do here at Edge is actually help our clients to be found online. So, but once they find you online, like either to Google search or now through ChatGPT, they may go to your website, but they may actually not do anything, right? So they may actually not click on any links. So there's no contact form that they fill out. They don't phone you, nothing. So if you have access to the website traffic stats from your website, you can see those people landing on your website. But then if your phone is not ringing or the email quote form is not coming to your email, then something is wrong. So does that mean that they were not a good lead for you? Not necessarily, because they after all they found your website, so they must have punched in something into Google that had to do with the service or product that you provide. But as you probably can understand, is that a lot of people that land on websites are doing preliminary research, and they're not necessarily ready to buy today. So you have to always keep that in mind. They'll do some research, maybe to go to your competitor, maybe to go to, they want to educate themselves on what's available. So our recommendation here is instead of giving people only one option, is basically buy now or book a meeting now. And that's a primary call to action. You need to give them something else to do as well. So if you only give them one option and they're not really ready to make that appointment, because that is a commitment, or even, ask for a quote, because now as soon as they do that, they know somebody will follow up, right? So they just want to basically check you out what else can you do to capture that information and to make sure that you have somebody that you can follow up with? So I think a lot of our clients, when we talk to them about these things, they kind of understand that, yeah, this is a problem. This kind of resonates because the visitors come to the website, but they just don't really know who they are, and there's actually no business coming out of this. So some of the questions that you ask yourself is like, what do you offer someone who's ready to buy yet, right? Is there something else that we can offer to again to capture that information of those visitors? How do you follow up once you capture their information, right? Without coming across as salesy or pushy or annoying, right? Nobody wants to be really sold to. And then once you have a list of contacts, what do you actually do with them? And I think, Katie, if the from our experience with our clients, a lot of clients have this list, even if they do all these things right, but the list is kind of sitting there. Is that kind of your experience too?
Yeah, definitely. It's always great that you are gathering that contact information, but you actually need to do something with them. You have to nurture that relationship, build trust with them up until the point that they're ready to buy. So keeping in contact with them not only helps build that relationship, but keeps you front of mind up until the point that they are ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, exactly, right. So we kind of practice what we preach, and sometimes we get these emails, invitations to webinars, or even our Merry Christmas new email coming back at us would say, "Hey, we need to talk. We're planning to do something." So keeping you top of mind is really important for the success of your business. So we'll try to give you a simple system that you can implement right away on your website and in your business. So once you nurture this relationship, because people still buy from people, that all the technology hasn't changed that, thankfully. So once people are ready to pull the trigger on a purchase or on a project, who are they going to call? Well, they're going to call the people that have stayed in touch with them, right? That's just human nature. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. So I've already mentioned this before, primary and secondary call to action. Now, this is a little bit of marketing speak, but Katie, can you just in very simple terms explain what this means?
For sure. So call to action is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. So you're calling your audience to take action. People are relatively stagnant people. They'll kind of follow the same path unless you tell them to do something else. So a call to action is what you're telling them to take as the next step. So the primary call to action is the main thing you want to do, of course, is for them to buy from your business. The secondary call to action, as we're kind of discussing today, is for those who need a lower commitment way to get in contact with you to kind of think it over a little bit more. So primary call to action is probably on everyone's websites right now, or at least they should be. So those are like the request a quote buttons, book a call, contact us, the big buy now buttons. So those are kind of like the immediate high commitment ones for those who are ready to kind of take the next step. Secondary call to actions. So this is where they need a little bit more time. So what happens is we're giving them something in exchange for their contact information to be able to keep communications up with them. So whether it's downloading a free guide, downloading a checklist, or signing up a webinar like today's.
Yeah, so yeah. So we're basically giving your visitor another option to click on. So in exchange for the contact information, right? So I always go like if you have somebody like we do reporting on website traffic, for example, for our clients, and we can tell them you have 500 clicks or 500 visitors to your website. But if you can say, hey, I have 10 people that downloaded a ebook or a form, and all of a sudden those leads, those people are interested in what you have to offer. Now all of a sudden they have names and phone numbers and emails. And I think in my mind that is way more valuable than having 500 visitors to your website because that doesn't really mean everything, right? So yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Katie. While you're at it, why don't you? keep on going here and kind of explain a little bit of how this works.
Yeah, definitely. So, as I kind of mentioned, your secondary call to action is an exchange of value. So, that contact information, their email address, their phone number, that's invaluable to your business because that is a potential lead, a potential sale down the road. So, you have to give them something of equal value for their contact information. So, you give them something useful, such as an ebook or a checklist, and then they give you their contact information. That's a trade and is typically a fair one. And then tip research suggests so if what you're offering is worth $20 to $25 in value, people consider that a fair exchange. They're a little bit more malleable in their decision to give up their contact information, just because even nowadays people are a little bit more wary about giving out their contact information just with current technological advances. People are getting annoyed about spam in their emails. So they're a little bit more choosy with what they give their information out to. So by providing something of lots of value, they're more likely to, um, again, give out their contact information to you.
Yeah. So in a way, it's an ethical bribe because it's an exchange of value. So people, I don't know about you, but I download things all the time because I know like it needs to be valuable enough. But if I'm researching something or want to find out something or plan something, some of these documents are very helpful. And we'll talk a little later about what a lead magnet because that's again the marketing term for some of these options. Um, if it's valuable enough, I'm more than willing to just click on it because I also know that I can unsubscribe to this list at any time. And when it comes to subscribing and unsubscribing to lists, there's a lot of legislation that goes around with that. So most businesses are actually pretty following the rules on that because if they don't have an unsubscribe function, for example, can get them into some really legal trouble. So from my experience, most legitimate businesses are very good at this. Of course, there's a category of businesses that don't have that kind of level of um, you know, um, effectiveness. So but overall, if it's a legitimate source like your business, it's generally people trusted enough to say, hey, I can download this and kind of go from there. So yeah, so now we're kind of getting to the some of the lead magnet ideas. So run us through that, Katie.
Yeah, definitely. So this would definitely depend on your business, your industry, on what would work best for you and your customers to be able to produce and then download. So you could provide them with a free guide or a checklist, like 5 questions to ask before hiring a contractor. An ebook is definitely a great resource just because that is quite a bit of valuable information that you're providing. It's always best to do it in what we call evergreen content. So this is like long term, this information and is going to last for years to come. So you don't have to worry about updating or reproducing it. So like having like the 2026 tax season tips, that might not last as long, but if you kind of look at what has kind of been an overall, say you're an accountant, what is consistently year after year been great tips to share with your audience. A free video, again, this is very similar to an ebook, it's just in video format. You're providing them with valuable information, walking how to approach a renovation project, for example, or a discount code. People, if you have a product-based business, of course, that has to be something of value for them. So it might be a little bit bigger than kind of a small discount. Again, would depend on the value of your products, but a discount code is a great way to capture their information. A free consultation or discovery call. So this is a chance for them to get to know you face to face, get to know a little bit more about your business, especially service-based businesses. And then webinars or workshops. So just like this one, of course, as when you signed up for this webinar, we asked you to provide your email address, your phone number, and your name, just so we can be able to, one, send you the contact information for this webinar, but also kind of going forward, you'll be able to receive updates from Edge as well.
Yeah, and so thanks for clarifying that. So there's other options as well, but these are kind of the main ones that come through our desk, I guess, from time to time. And it's, yeah, I really like what you said, Katie, about being evergreen, some of these ebooks, right? Because writing a book is actually really difficult, right? Even if it's only 15 or 20 pages. So you don't want to make it too time bound, but you want to make it more general. But the biggest tip I think that we have for you is to make it, to really but make you the guide in this or the expert in the field, right? So the don't hold anything back, and we'll talk about it in a minute here. But if you just really give them good information, and the best lead magnets that I've seen work really well are kind of related, of course, to the work you do, right? The problem you're solving for your clients, and it may actually, in some ways, be the first step of solving that problem, and you're solving that for free by giving the information. So um, those are the best scenarios because then if people download this resource or click on something or book this meeting, they're pre-qualified. You already know that they're looking for your service, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't download this resource. So, a really good way of actually filtering new inquiries as well. And yeah, if you do this right, it can be a very long-term flow of new clients into your business. So that kind of brings us to the next point, kind of leads into it, the give it all away mindset. And I oftentimes get questions about this because, okay, like what if I just give away my secret sauce to my potential clients? Like, why would they even need me yet, right? So my response to that is like from my experience, I guess, over the last 30 years. Um, yes, like a small number of people that download a resource are actually they will never become a client. They're do-it-yourselfers. They just maybe they are able to figure this out themselves, which is great. Um, Essentially, they would not be your real clients anyway because they're do-it-yourselfers, so they don't actually need your service. So on the grand scheme of things, it's really, there's no additional effort from our end that is needed for this category of people that download your information. So, and again, from my experience, only a very small number is actually going to do this themselves, and that's kind of how we are wired as well. Once we get into a project, so say, hey, I want to do a basement renovation myself, right? So I'm gathering all the information that I can find once I really start reading up on it and actually reading the guides that are available online, I start to realize pretty quickly that this is way out of my skill set. And so what does this do? It basically it positions you as the guide and the person that they're going to rely on to actually solve the problem for them. And that's again, there's no guarantees there, but like generally speaking, Katie, you mentioned an accounting firm, right? Like, can you do your own accounting? Yeah, you can. But how many, like in our case, we work with small business owners. So how many small business owners want to do their own accounting? I honestly don't know anybody, right? So the large majority is just busy doing other things, and they want to hire an expert to actually solve that problem for them. Generosity, the abundance mindset, right? Like there's the mindset of thinking, hey, there's more than enough work out there for everybody. That really the generosity builds trust because if you give away something that's valuable for free, that instantly builds a relationship of trust and puts you in the position of the guide, the expert. And in marketing, that's really a powerful position to be in. Rather than selling to them, they come to you because they trust you enough to solve the problem for them. So you remain the expert. Any of the resources that you provide is not going to change that. So what happens then? Like so after they actually download a resource, they click on a meeting link, they do something on your website. What are some of the things that we recommend you do? Well, first of all, is instant delivery, right? It's really important to get that done as quickly as possible. Then there'll be a welcome sequence, and we're talking about email here, automated emails that automatically are being sent, like during a certain time period. Then if they still don't buy from you at that point, we recommend a nurture campaign. So again, just putting them on a weekly email or whatever the intervals are to stay in touch with them, right? And that's going to be so powerful. And then eventually, of course, we need to ask them for to do something with us because ultimately, all the things we do with marketing ultimately need to lead to more sales. So, do you want to talk about this, Katie, or
Yeah,
do you want?
sure. Yeah. So, as Peter mentioned, it's important to provide them with the resource right away. If you drag it out, that kind of muddies the waters, and again, they'll kind of move on to the next resource that they can find. So when you have an automation system set up, as soon as they fill out the form, a nice handy email or SMS text message goes out to them, sending out the resource to them.
Mhm.
That way that kind of checks a little box in their mind that like these guys are on top of things, even if it is just providing a valuable resource that I may not use. So again, that builds trust. It keeps your business top of mind while their interest is at the kind of peak, and it sets the tone for everything that follows.
Yeah. So the instant delivery is really important, I think. And again, this is a little bit automation comes into play, right? Like if you actually do manually would have to do that. First of all, probably doesn't happen, right? Knowing most business owners, it just falls off their desk. But yeah, like the automations that are available to do this, like with your CRM program or with something like Mailchimp, so some of these steps can be automated, and I think that's really powerful because if again, if you don't automate these things, they generally don't happen, right? So then the next recommendation we have then is okay, we have this, the initial, the goods are delivered. So then we recommend having an email sequence that basically, again, builds this relationship with these clients. So email one could be immediate, or like we can delay it by 30 minutes or no. It doesn't really matter that much, but it needs to be fairly quickly, right, Katie, after they download. So they have the good, so they feel good about it. They receive something for free. We want to follow up and say, hey, thank you for downloading this, and we're really enjoy the resources we've given you. We are in the business of helping people like yourself, but you don't really have to sell in that first email. Please don't actually, because then people feel kind of it's a setup, right? I clicked on something and right away I get some salesy message or somebody calls me right away. Those are all bad ideas in my opinion. So then email number two, like, okay, so you leave that alone for a while. Couple days later, you send them a follow-up email, automated again, but it's personalized, right, Katie? It's got their name on it, it's got a few things on it.
Yeah, so that's kind of why in your form fields you do want to grab their name, email address,
Yeah,
anything that kind of will be able to personalize that connection.
no, exactly, right. So now with AI, actually, and we haven't experimented with this a whole lot, but some CRM systems now allow you to actually customize it to the client as well, based on the business they're in, based on some other factors, which I think is tricky because you can if AI does it right, then it's wonderful. But if nobody ever looks at that, I would be a little worried about that content being automatically generated myself. But I'm not sure what you think about that, Katie, but I'm a little hesitant with that.
Yeah, agreed.
But it is possible, and as AI becomes better and better, that may just not be a factor anymore. Like 3 months from now, 6 months from now, we just don't know. We believe that AI is a great tool, but it needs humans to manage it, right? Just like any other tool in our toolbox. So then email three could be, for example, a like a client story, like a case study. Hey, we solved the problem for somebody else like you, and yeah, see what the results were with that. And again, you don't necessarily have to say anything about, contact us or when can we meet. You can keep it actually very, very open to them to say, hey, we're just building this relationship. Just like, if you go on your first date, you don't ask somebody to marry, generally speaking, right? So that's more or less the same with these email sequences, like building that relationship. It takes time. So we're just going to be very the best approach is just to be very clear, be very conversational as well with these emails. So just a good friend that is actually talking to you about, how they about the problems that you're trying to solve. Email four could be, again, maybe at some point we need to prompt them to actually do something, right? We do want to add them as a client, so we need to make sure that we at some point make this available. We can invite them for an event. We can just say, hey, we have some capacity this month to work on your stuff. So, are you still looking for this, right? So then you're approaching it in a way that's not like high pressure sales. It's more or less you are because you're interested in this client and helping them. You're making that available to them. So yeah, then now we get into the nurture campaign. So again, I've already mentioned a few things here. Katie, you want to say a few other things about this?
Yeah, definitely. So nurture campaign is again kind of building on that trust. So a good nurture sequence may include a useful tip that kind of expands on the resource that they downloaded. So making sure it's relevant. A story from your experience, like as X company, we've experienced this too, and this is how we solved it. Frequently asked questions. Those are always good. Usually, the questions that you send are questions that they have had themselves. So, by answering them unprompted, that kind of alleviates some of the kind of questions that they have in their mind about your business. Again, a client success story. People love transformational stories. They love to see that you have worked with businesses or individuals just like themselves. And it provides that trust signal that if they've solved a similar problem for someone else, they can solve the problem that I'm experiencing.
Hmm.
And then seasonal services or offers. So if you do have like seasonal businesses, like say you're a groundworks company, um, winter's coming, we can help clear your driveways and parking
Hmm.
lots, and just keep us in mind when that time rolls around. So again, it's all about sending those trust signals to them one by one. You don't want to overload those emails, so it's just one each topic per email. Don't want to
Yeah,
overload it.
yeah. And
Um,
then like a bad nurture sequence, like
mhm.
what are some of the
Yeah.
hallmarks of those?
Yeah, so as Peter mentioned, you do want to avoid being salesy or pushy. So going right in for the sales pitch. Again, this is about nurturing, building trust, not making the sale right off the bat. And then going silent for months and then suddenly asking for the sale. You want to keep up a consistent, reliable communications with them, whether it's bi-monthly, monthly, or bi-weekly that you send out an email. It's just keeping that relationship going and that your business is top of mind throughout the whole time. So they could make the decision to that hey, I'm ready to buy at any time. So you want
Hmm.
to be there in their inbox or in their text message thread that you're there, you're ready to help. And then, as Peter mentioned, content is generic and doesn't feel relevant to your audience. So it's either not addressed directly to them or it's not addressing the issue that they're interested in. You might have several divisions in your business, and if you're sending um, information on product X, when they downloaded information on product Y, they're
Mm.
going to tune out.
No, I know, and that's I mean, and we've seen that happen, right? And that's super annoying. So you gotta then it's better not to have any of this stuff in place, right? Like if you don't do it right, because now you're only going to annoy people, and that's of course worse. So yeah, yeah. So I think this what we're trying to say here is just like build a relationship of trust with people, like you would do with a with another friend or somebody that you know, right? So there's no real shortcuts for this either. I mean, we live in a very digital world with all kinds of automation. This just takes time, and this just takes trust is so important in business that, and it's only going to increase because, like Katie said, there's some people are a little skittish when it comes to clicking on anything these days, and I don't blame them. So you have to be you walk a fine line to just providing good information and let the client process this information and make up their own mind. I think that's really what people want these days. So yeah, once every 1 or 2 weeks, like the rhythm can be different for any business. But the beauty of this, if you set it up with automation, this can actually be running in the background like 24/7, and you don't actually have to do anything with it, right? And that's of course the marketing automation part that is available to you as a small business owner now is so powerful because without automation, I know for a fact that 98% of the small businesses will not be able to keep up with all this, all this information, right? So we've come a long ways, and I think we have some really cool tools available, or you have cool tools available to actually make this happen. So yeah, then step number four is actually here's where we're actually, we've been out on dates for a while. But now we're going to ask maybe the big question to somebody, right? Would you like to become a client of us? Because again, we should not overlook the importance of that because you can be also too laid back and too waiting for people to take action. You actually have to do something too. So we generally say in marketing, it's the 80-20 rule. So 80% deposit, so you're depositing into the relationship, and then the 20% is kind of the withdrawal. So that's kind of okay. We're actually now, and again, the way you do this is really can make a huge difference, right? If you're very again aggressive and okay, now you have them on the list and they haven't unsubscribed, so they're still interested. Now you come in too hard and too aggressive, it actually is going to work against you. So don't do that. But you can ask them, say, hey, you've been following us for a while. And honestly, we have people following us for months, if not years in some cases, right? We know they're following us because they're signing up on things, they're commenting on our social media. We actually know they're interested in what we have. So we would be fools for not actually asking some of these questions, right? But ask a question like, can we book a discovery call? It's free, 30 minutes of your time. We can probably do some, diagnosis of your problem. We can talk a little bit about see if we're a good fit for this. That's a very, very low barrier, right? And at this point, remember the first time when they landed on your website, they would not be ready to click that link. But now maybe they say, yeah, like I know these guys and I trust them to a certain point because they've shown the work they've done for other clients. So now I'm ready to actually click that link and book that meeting if that's your call to action. Same for request to quote, right? Okay, you've been following us for a while. Are you still looking to renovate your basement or to book this trip to Mexico? I mean, it's just you're doing your list of service by just being proactively thinking what they would need next. So that would be another easy way to say, hey, you know, we can just put a plan together for you, no cost to you, and then you can see what that would look like. And again, if you do this properly, you're going to get a very good response rate. If you're in retail, of course, then you can say, hey, come visit us. I mean, you've been following us. We have a showroom. You can please come out and then we'll get you some coffees or whatever, right? You can make them a personalized offer. And then the other way you can do it and say, hey, you know, some businesses are seasonal, right? They book up to at a certain point. You can say, hey, we still have capacity for snow removal this fall. Are you in? And again, it's not really a sales pitch. It's more or less just saying, hey, we see you, we hear you, and we can actually help you with this. And they appreciate that, right? Why would they not appreciate that? So that's step number four. And again, it's a crucial step. It needs to be done properly. But now you talk to somebody that's like a warmed up lead that is actually already knows, likes, and trusts you to a certain extent. So nurturing over time is basically has to do with okay, so with the very long term people that are following us, right? And Katie, we have some people that have been on the list probably for a couple of years now, and they haven't bought yet, but we're still hopeful. But I mean, what do you do with them, right? Like this nurturing over time is kind of like the long term kind of a nurture strategy. You want to say a few things about that?
Yeah, definitely. So eh, the length of time it takes to nurture a sale kind of depends on your industry. So if you're in retail, selling women's clothes, that lead time might be a little bit shorter than company that manufactures precast industrial facilities where the investment is a little bit more significant.
Hmm.
So it kind of depends on your industry and how long it might take to nurture that lead, but it's important to stay in contact up until the point that they are ready to make that decision.
Yeah, so again, instead of just you've done all the work now, you've built this list, they've shown some interest in the past. They're just not ready for working with you or buying from you, but it doesn't mean that we should forget about them. And again, with the proper marketing automation, you can actually set this up, and just from time to time, just have these automated emails go out to them to make sure that they haven't forgotten about you. And what I always look at, if people don't unsubscribe to the emails they're getting from us, that generally means that they're still in the game, right? That's how I interpret it. And I mean, it could be for different reasons, but if people absolutely don't want to hear from you, they'll click that unsubscribe button pretty quickly. And that's okay because then you don't have to waste their time. You don't have to waste your time, and you can still be friends. But there comes a time that you have to break up, I guess, and say, hey, we're just not really the right fit for you, so we're gonna go our own way, and then that's totally fine. So yeah, keep showing up. So the last thing I wanna, so thanks for clarifying that, Katie. At the last thing I want to talk about, like I talked several times about automating some of these processes. So we have a process in place that we have available to our clients. So we talked about the capturing of the leads, right? The new clients, nurturing them, generally speaking through email. SMS works too, but it's a little trickier. We have to be very, very careful with that. But then ultimately, of course, the big prize is to convert them into clients. So the the tool that we have available, it's called Easy Leads. It's based on Go High Level. It's an amazing CRM marketing automation tool that we are a dealer of. And yeah, like we've helped several clients now with actually instead of just telling them, hey, you got to do these things, we can actually say, well, you know what? We can actually take care of this for you. We'll set it up for you. Like Katie will write all the nurture emails, right? Like for your brand. And yeah, like it is definitely if you're unfamiliar with these things, it's really nice that somebody actually can help you to set this up. So don't want to make this into a sales pitch because that's not why I signed up for this webinar, but it's definitely available. And if you have not looked at any sort of marketing automation for your business, I can highly recommend looking into it and just find out what's out there, what works for your business, and then, yeah, if you need any help with that, you can definitely let us know. Easy Leads, that's the product. So we'll send the link in the email that you receive from us to kind of wrap this up. And I think that kind of brings us to the end of our formal presentation. So I'm just wondering if any questions that we need to talk about.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to unmute and we can discuss them, or feel free to leave them in the chat if you're more comfortable with that.
So there was a couple questions that were sent in. when people signed up. So we are once you receive the slide deck, they will be in there. So how can I be successful at lead capturing? Well, I think we discussed that a fairly good detail. But I think it's really important to think about like, is there an alignment that you can think of that only the people that are interested in what you have to offer actually would reply, right? And you kind of repel the people that don't have that problem. So again, for the accounting example, for example, if somebody's downloading a checklist of how to do year end for a small business, there is a pretty good chance that this individual is interested in getting this stuff done, right? So then for an accounting firm, that's a really good lead. So start to keep thinking in line of, okay, what is the problem that we solve as a company, and what is one aspect that we can identify leads that actually have this problem really well. And that's kind of what leads capturing is supposed to be doing as well. So yeah, you can look at that again. Newsletters, yeah, newsletters are one way of actually staying in touch with your tribe. And I think it's newsletters been around for a very long time. Again, they can work. I don't think they work very well as a lead generator because not many people will just out of the blue sign up on a newsletter unless they already know, like, and trust you, and they really know or like the content that you have. So you got to do this really well. But having a newsletter is actually an example that you can also use to nurture the relationship with your, people that are not clients yet, but also can go to your clients as well. So newsletters are great, but they take a lot of time to do them well. I think, Katie, would you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. Again, you have to ensure that the topic's valuable to your audience. You don't want to be repeating the same thing over and over again. You don't want to have too many topics in the same email. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into developing monthly email marketing campaigns.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like newsletters really work well if your product is content, right? Like if you're an investment broker, or like a financial advisor, and you actually have a following that people that follow you as a brand, the newsletters can work really well because you're actually, yeah, you're conveying this information, right? So if you run a welding shop, I don't know how you can do a monthly newsletter, for example, right? I mean, it can be done, and anything's possible. It just becomes more difficult. Yeah, like so the question about being pushy or salesy, I think if you just focus on the content and on the no strings attached, giving it all away kind of attitude to say, yeah, we're putting it all on the table. We're opening up our secret compartments with all the information we have about a topic, and that's just nowadays. I think that people they're almost expecting this. If I'm holding back, they would distrust the source of this information. So yeah, there's just be yourself. Most people that we work with actually are not very salesy, right? Contractors, medium-sized manufacturing companies, they're actually really mostly product focused, providing the product, providing the service. So it's hardly ever a problem. So please, in your nurturing, don't all of a sudden try to sell, because people just tune out right away. And I think those were the questions we had. So anything else to add, Katie, before we close?
No, I don't think so. But if after tuning into this webinar, if you have any questions about lead capturing or anything else marketing related, feel free to reach out to us. You can find us at the contact information here or going directly through edgemarketing.ca, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
You betcha. Thanks, Katie, for helping me out. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we're always here to help. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.